Week number 3, two of the undefeated teams in the United Soccer League set to match up as GE Appliances welcomes you into today's broadcast. Louisville City FC off an unexpected bye week, taking on the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Bruce Silverman's alongside Mike Watts. These were two of the top 3 teams in the East last year, and both teams largely kept the core intact. For Tampa Bay, their offense still spearheaded by the same duo.
Yeah, you got Georgie and you got Fernandez. We're going to look at Leo first. Great individual effort on this one, working that left side, pulls the ball in, fires away back of the net. He's got some firepower, and then, obviously he's got to say hello to the family after you score a goal like that. But Georgie is the one that's chasing history. 41 years worth of history. A brace tonight would put him in a tie for all-time Rowdies scoring leader, a hat trick, and boy, would that make for a Saturday, would make him the all-time leading scorer for the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
A ton of history to this Rowdies franchise, and Fernandez and Ristoff trying to write another chapter in it. For Louisville, their big history-making moment came last year. McCabe and Spencer were here a year ago, and they spearhead the offense again.
Defending champions looking to defend again today. They need goals. Both of these teams score a lot of goals. That makes for an entertaining game. But for both of these teams, you got to look at their big boys. Spencer gets the start tonight. McCabe looking to come off the bench.
So how will those two impact the game? How will these 4 impact the game? Louisville and Tampa Bay is right around the corner from Slugger Field in downtown Louisville. These two teams, 11 wins each at home last year. Those were the best marks in all of the USL. For the Rowdies, road struggles a year ago. Can they topple the reigning champion? Rowdies, Louisville, coming up next.
Waiting for spring?
Yes!
Be ready for all the season has to offer with a great deal on a new Toyota.
Now through April 2nd, get 0.9 financing for 60 months on the exciting new 2018 Camry. Or lease this Camry LE for just $229 a month.
Ready, set, go get your Toyota today.
Toyota, let's go places.
At Dr. Mark Leonard Associates, I focus on taking care of my family, but I also focus on taking care of your family. We firmly believe that you've got to give back. Our primary goal is to do what's right for the patient. If that means glasses, contacts, or treating an eye condition, we will be sure you get the care that you need. We want to take care of you the same way we take care of all our family.
This is our family. And here at Dr. Mark Leonard Associates, we're focused on your family, the community, and most importantly, your vision.
Have a great business concept or invention but don't know how to turn it into something tangible? The U of L MBA program can teach you the business skills needed to turn a great idea into a great business. You'll be taught by faculty who are also serial entrepreneurs and investors and will gain great connections in the entrepreneurial community. If you're serious about taking your idea to the next level, visit uoflmba.com to learn more. Bring your business vision to life with an entrepreneurship MBA from the University of Louisville.
The spring sales event is on now at Kentuckiana's #1 Commonwealth Dodge Ram. A 2018 Ram 1500 Crew Cab 4x4 pickup discounted over $10,000, now just $31,800, or lease for just $249 a month. An 18 Dodge Grand Caravan SXT discounted over $9,000 to just $25,500, or lease for $269 a month. And an 18 Dodge Journey now just $16,990.
Coach Scott Davenport here for my good friends at Commonwealth Dodge Ram. Right on Preston and always right on the price.
I got my true start in the culinary arts when I joined the British Army and learned from really, really brilliant chefs. One of the highlights for me was making Princess Anne's wedding cake. I've traveled, I've won numerous awards and competitions, but education is where my heart is. I want each student at Sullivan to receive the mentorship that I received during my training. We are dedicated to educating the next generation of chefs.
Might be the biggest matchup of the USL this week. Tonight's keys to this matchup are powered by the Kentucky Lottery, who remind you that lottery proceeds fund college scholarship and grant programs, including every dollar of the popular Keys Scholarship Program, Bruce.
Tampa Bay, keep on scoring. Put that pressure on if you're Lou City. You missed a game a week ago. It wasn't by design. It was by weather. Weather is 62 degrees, partly cloudy today. The Rowdies running out a very familiar lineup.
Certainly so. Only 2 changes in there. Lance Roseboom in central midfield, and you have to appreciate that front 3, one of the best in the league.
Yeah, Georgie, as we talked about earlier, chasing history for the purple and white. Spencer up top looking to add to his scoring. And, hey, Davis and Rasmussen next to him. Tonight's going to be fun. It is going to be a fun afternoon here in Louisville.
Just that one change with Rasmussen coming in for Niall McCabe. Wearing the hoops of green and gold. Tampa Bay move left to right. Well, it's all purple in front of this home crowd. The Purple family, reigning USL Cup champions, scarves high up. As Jack Blake getting ready to put us in play. Problem with one of the nets here. And so everyone will kick this ball around while they figure things out. I've always seen referees go through and check the nets, but I've never actually seen this problem before.
I love how we were told there's a hole in the net they need to fix. Like as if the holes in the net were not by design.
So they're going to try and figure this out, and suddenly we're in a little bit of a holding period. And James O'Connor, that's one heck of a face on him, huh?
Yeah, he's looking at this saying, you know what, I've been around this game for a long time, and this is the first time I have seen a delay to start a game because of a hole in a net. Because by definition.
Well, now's as good a time as any to show you James O'Connor, the team that's reached the playoffs each of the last 3 years.
Only coach this club has ever known, and certainly coming off of a league championship a year ago. And we were talking before the match. This is a big test for Lou City. They can announce their presence with authority. Yeah, you won a year ago. You brought back 75% of your roster from a year ago. But that was a year ago. Stuart Campbell, he wants to have something to say about whether or not Louisville repeats.
Once a player, now the head coach rising through the ranks. And this Rowdies franchise has invested a lot into this team. They have a ton of star power on it. And they certainly feel they have something to say as this season gets underway. They've announced their presence as they did last year when they came into USL. They started unbeaten and undrawn their first handful of matches at home. But now you're trying to go win maybe the toughest atmosphere in the USL. I think it's a loop-de-loop and pull is the way that they're trying to pull this off.
Did you ever see the movie Big Daddy? Loop, swoop, and pull? Or rabbit ears. Go with the rabbit ears. I swear to God, it works. So while we're still trying to figure out how to tie knots in Lou City, you know, we teased it a little bit earlier. Georgie chasing history. This is a franchise in Tampa Bay that dates back to 1975. They had a player on their roster, Derek Smithhurst, who played 67 games from 1975 to 1977 and scored 57 goals. Georgie right now, at some point in the season, you got to believe, will equal and surpass that total.
An early turnover forced in this back line. There was a great article on TampaBay.com about that that I know we both read leading up to this game, that he didn't expect the record to last that long. He came here on a training stint in 1975, and then he sticks around 4 years, and he's got a record ever since as we're underway here in what's suddenly become sunny Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah, Georgie's played 130 games for the Rowdies. Never thought he would play that many. Then again, Derek wasn't even aware he had the Rowdies record up until a few years ago.
It hasn't been under siege yet. This portion of tonight's telecast brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
Tampa Bay really just needs to control the pace of play. If they can put pressure on this defense and get that ball to their goal scorers, because we talked about it. You got Leo Fernandez and Georgie and Guinzotti. These are veteran guys. They know how to find the back of the net. And Tampa is very dangerous when they get that first goal.
Ball comes over to Paco Craig. He's joined on this left-hand side, not by Oscar Jimenez. It's Sean Francis on the left to start the match, 21 in purple, who's after this. It's picked up by Cody Mizell, who spent last year with the Charlotte Independents, taking over for Matt Pickens and his fantastic beard that's made its move north to Nashville.
And not the first stint in Tampa Bay for Cody either. These two clubs, so good on paper, so effective last year. If there was one thing that Tampa Bay needed to improve upon from a year ago, it's their record on the road.
Finished with 3 wins and 7 draws. Is Spencer trying to find his way through, weaving for Rasmussen. Spencer will have another bite at this, lifting it into space. Jimenez on the run, brings it down. Could not get that cross in. He'll collect again. Ball for Rasmussen. Ricochets off Davis. Header back, and it's picked up here by Mizell.
Jimenez took a little bit too much time in trying to center that ball in front of the net. Had he moved that pass a little bit faster, this might already be a 1-0 game in the third.
Zadi dropping back. This is Ristov, who serves a cross in. Boy, that got past. Sean Tosh made it a bit dangerous. In the end, it's a corner for the Rowdies.
Intended for Leo Fernandez, and pass just didn't quite get to Leo. It was a little short, but with the upcoming corner, Tampa already really exerting themselves in this final third.
There's Marcel Schaefer. 11 assists last year, second most in the USL, tied most in the East. Service across off the head of Spencer. Davis after it, nods it further with Fernandez in pursuit. Lifted in to Ranjit Singh.
One of the easier saves that Ranjit Singh is going to have on the day. I really want to take a look at these two keepers, because the more that they get challenged, the more they're going to have to really stand up for their clubs. So that's going to really put pressure on both offenses to really challenge.
I think the last year both had very strong seasons. Jitsing dealing with some early injury problems. Mizell and Charlotte leading that team to first place in the East through June. Well, the wheels fell off a bit on the offense for the Independents.
Independents starting out very well this season. A lot of goals scored there too. The two clubs that we've got on the screen right now in Charlotte, that's going to be a fun 3-way race throughout this season.
The Rowdies are in second place right now, and it's so early that the table borders on irrelevant, but 6 points tied with the Independents, but the Independents with one better in the old goal differential column that everyone's looking at the end of March.
Well, you know, for no other reason that it's, as that pass goes a little behind. Look, you get early goals, it gives you a lot of confidence going into the season. If you're in your third game and you've only scored once or twice, you're starting to question yourself, and that kind of, you know, starts to weigh on you, and it's difficult to get out of that. If you're scoring at will through 2 or 3 games, you feel like you can score every time you take it down the pitch.
Rowdies 5 goals through 2 games, and Louisville, after sitting out last week due to field conditions, Jimenez, that's skipping out for a Louisville corner. Louisville scored twice against Nashville to rain on their debut. That ends up being a goal kick in the end. Jimenez is still wondering, like I am, how that took such a massive deflection without touching a Rowdy player.
Nonetheless, Mizell will kick this one away. You certainly can't miss him on the pitch. Looking like 2 different colors of a highlighter.
It's traffic cone season. Well, it's turned over. Dangerous position for Fernandez getting forward, but Jimenez took it back. Rasmussen rolls it up the field. Looking back to last week, they took the tarp off the field about 4 hours before game time, and between the time they took the tarp off and 2 o'clock p.m., about 3.5 hours. The field had become waterlogged, and they felt like the game against North Carolina wasn't playable on the surface. So that game had been reset. Carolina had flight arrangements they could not change to play the game on Sunday. And the focus turns toward playing that game at a later date. But the rain will hold off till later in the afternoon here in the Louisville area today.
It'll be interesting to see what missing that game a week ago will do to Lou City as this game goes on. Tampa's already played a few, had great success through their first 2 games, and Lou City needs to get their feet under them.
Smith turned it over, and Jitsing falling over the top of Paco Craig, with the Sebastian Guinzotti falling down on the field. Francis lost this over the touchline, and Blake will throw. James O'Connor told us that he did play some intra-squad games, and Monday they trained as hard as they have since the preseason. Started a couple weeks prior.
But there's a big difference between playing a team that doesn't wear the same uniform as you and playing against guys that you know too well.
Right. Oh, Spencer brings this down off his chest, shooting with his left. Spilled by Mizell. He'll collect now. Pretty strong work from Spencer to make something of that at all.
Great individual effort. Difficulty on that was he had 2 defenders in front of him he had to work around. If they weren't there, he gets off a much stronger shot.
This might be one of the toughest draws he's going to get all year in terms of central defense. Roseboom will sit out in front of these 2 strong center backs. Hunter Gorski made his debut in September last year and really brought the Tampa Bay line together after Damian Lowe left for Europe mid-season, and then Neil Collins, the outstanding native of Scotland, has been with the club for a while now.
That's a pretty good defensive unit right there.
Turned over to Roseboom, who last year was the Furies captain in Ottawa. Lifted into the corner by Fernandez. Great service. Get that in front of the goal at all. Ranchitsing will pull it in.
Good ball movement down the pitch by Tampa Bay. And they really, through 9 minutes, have been the aggressors. Better trips down the pitch. And for Tampa Bay, that's the kind of football they want to play. They want to be that attacking style. They want to keep it on this side of the pitch. They want to keep the pressure on. And they want to keep a very strong offense away from their defense. And sometimes the best defense is a good offense. And for Tampa Bay, they just want to keep moving the ball vertical. They need to be creative in the way that they bring it down. As long as Tampa Bay is not predictable, they will find a lot more success.
That's something that USL Insights over on USLsoccer.com hit on. They had a heat map of it. When the left is as strong as it was last time out, you sort of swing all that offense to one side. Christoph moved to the left, and the combination of Portillos and Fernandez really made that the dominant side. Even Louisville admitted that there was an element of being too heavy on one side than the other against Nashville, and in the second half, sort of finding that balance.
And if you're Stuart Campbell and you got Fernandez, Georgie, and Guinzotti up front, you got great options, and it's a good problem to have. And Campbell does a good job of managing during the game, and you'll see Georgie and Guinzotti and Fernandez mixing up a little bit just to keep the defense honest.
Jimenez launches long. He's got Spencer. Bounces by him, but the flag was up anyways.
Right idea, slightly long execution. And you see Spencer knows it too. He had that chance. We get to take another look. The ball stopped midair. It was amazing.
Yes.
It was just that good of a service. But here's the interesting thing. Luke Spencer will look for that play again as this match goes on. He has shown that he can break free and be one-on-1, one-on-2, and he'll take that matchup.
Speaking with James O'Connor this week, he spoke about his ability to work with both feet, his size, how he uses it so well. His cross came after the ball had gotten out over the end line.
Spencer's almost playing as a lone striker. You know, they on paper they line up as a 3-4-3, but Spencer seems to be playing ahead of Davis and Rasmussen, and that's okay.
At the touchline by Portillos. And now Collins chasing backward. Skips it off George Davis. And it's a throw for the Rowdies. There's Portillos. The Rowdies since 2015 was brought in by Stuart Dobson a handful of years ago. Out of Akron.
You talk about a college powerhouse.
Yeah.
The Zips. Lou City not liking the call there by John Freeman.
He appears to have flipped decisions here. Jimenez was making an argument, and Freeman had already changed sides.
Barbasol goes down in first set piece of the afternoon. You like that?
Yeah.
You like the Barbasol.
Sean Francis took the majority of set pieces from this angle in the opener against Nashville. This used to be Jimenez territory. Francis was away on international duty, but didn't end up missing a game because North Carolina and Louisville weren't able to match up last Saturday afternoon.
Left foot by Francis coming up.
Francis drives, easily handled by Tampa Bay in the 14th minute.
Wasted opportunity by Lou City to take advantage of the first set piece of the afternoon.
Collins bombing the other way. Ranjit Singh comes out to handle it.
You talk about Francis, who was on duty with the Reggae Boys. You see Lou City is going to have to chase all the way back to their keeper.
And Menez did all he could to keep that in, but that may have done more harm than good. Won't work out for Leo Fernandez in this case, though.
Fernandez, a big target up that left side.
Menez for Spencer, who's on the other end. Spencer shooting Mizell. Got down and blocked it wide. Big save for Mizell. Gorski was beaten, and Spencer couldn't make him pay.
Outstanding save by Mizell. Spencer's going to have nightmares on this one because his eyes must have been wide open, one-on-one with the keeper, and we get to take another look. Flag is down right in the mouth of the 18. He was feeling a little bit of pressure by Hunter Gorski. Probably pulled the trigger on that shot a little too early.
Couple good opportunities on long balls here for Spencer in the early going. You mentioned they go back to that neck of the woods. They certainly did. Francis waiting. John Freeman had his hand up, now allows play to continue. The assistant referee now steps behind. Francis on the corner in the 16th. Slides down, came to McMahon. A dangerous leap by Paulo Del Piccolo in his attempt to cycle that home.
Yeah, difficult service by Francis as he slipped while he was trying to plant that right foot. So another opportunity goes awry for Lou City. But Spencer is seeing something that he feels he can exploit between Collins and Gorski. And Gorski had to hustle back to try to take the advantage away from Spencer.
Mizell's claiming a few yards too many.
Yeah, it happened inside the box there, Cody.
Showing off the leg strength. Rowdies trying to get forward. Rasmussen slips it away and knocks it wide. This portion of today's telecast brought to you by Republic Bank. Scoreless between number 1 and number 3 in the Eastern Conference from a year ago. The Rowdies were extra time away from facing Louisville in the Eastern Conference final, but a second goal by Stefano Bonomo ended those Rowdy hopes. In St. Pete, Francis swings the ball out in front. Spencer's target, lofted away by Gorski. Still alive here for Rasmussen. Played it through the legs of Najim, but comes to Mizell unimpeded.
Good defensive set by Tampa Bay. And Mike, what I'm seeing right now out of Lou City is they have the opportunities. They're just not getting that clean finish. You got to believe we're 18 minutes into this game. James O'Connor is going to have to find ways to get the ball to Spencer, Davis, and Rasmussen a little bit cleaner, a little bit faster, so that they can break this game open. For Tampa Bay, they need to play with a little bit more sense of urgency on defense. Gorski and Collins are doing a good job of coming back and reacting, but they're allowing that initial push by Spencer to get behind them.
One wonders if that little bit of hesitation in the final third for Louisville in the early going has something to do with that week off. It wasn't in the schedule in week number 2. It could take a little while to get back to that match look.
We talked about it as one of our keys to the game, and it's a mindset. You train for an entire week, in Louisville's case a week ago, to play North Carolina FC, a team they've never played before. And what is that game really going to be like? Weather cancels the game. Now you got to quickly turn around as that ball was fired in from long distance. Now you got to turn around and you got to, without playing, completely change your mindset and take on a team that you know is dangerous, that you know very well, that you know you probably have to get past if you want to repeat.
Francis knocking through. This is Rasmussen. Tried to bring it down a second time with Roseboom in tow. And last week, the mentality was we had to deal with 6 inches of snow in the midweek, and now we have to go play North Carolina. Well, now it's we didn't get to play last week, and we have to find a way to get up for this game the right way. And Francis has this eke out beyond him. James O'Connor said to the media, and he told us, these guys are desperate to get a start. And for Stu Campbell's team, they're desperate to go on the road and get on the right foot, which is something they never quite did last year, despite his own commentary to us throughout the season that, hey, we got 10 results on the road, and we were close to getting 3 points in other instances, and then we're not talking about road woes at all. That's a fair point.
But you're talking about the difference between a draw and a win. And, yeah, points on the road are great. But when you're chasing history, when you're chasing a championship, those points are important. And you leave points on the road. Sometimes a draw on the road, depending upon the way the game plays out, can actually mentally feel like a loss.
And there were a couple of those last year. This Rowdies team that, as Fernandez fires off of Craig, that at home was practically unbeatable last year. Both these teams were. This is a Rowdies team that's a good pick for potential USL Cup championship. Spencer down to get it, keeps it alive. As that ricochet back, will Del Piccolo have a look? Rolls it into Mizell.
Spencer just keeps knocking on the door, but he can't come in. Tried to turn around on that one. Couldn't get his foot exactly where he wanted. By the time he pulled the trigger on the shot, there was just too much traffic in front of him. He knows that he's had opportunities. You got to figure you're going to have opportunities as this game goes on. One thing that you got to look at is Stuart Campbell's going to go into the locker room. He's going to sit Neil Collins and Hunter Gorski down and have a conversation with them. And you got to figure when they switch sides, we're going to see a difference in Collins and Gorski.
Rasmussen tumbled down. It's a free kick to Louisville across the halfway line. There's Paco Craig. Brought down by Rasmussen. Francis.
Now you see Francis on the left when he started on the right. So O'Connor mixing some things up a little bit.
And Fernandez switching sides over to this near side over this first half of this 90-minute game of chess.
And you've got two coaches that know how to play the game.
Yeah. Right out of the playing days, jumping into the coaching profession as head coaches. That's not a totally common incident. A little shove here from behind, and Louisville has a free kick. Free kick here for Louisville. Sean Tosh. One of the keys to this James O'Connor-led defense. Spencer nods it on. Kept in with the back heel at the byline. As far as Craig. Comes to Pat McMahon, combined with Tosh in the 2015 USL Cup Championship for the Rochester Rhinos. Everyone looking for the flag going up on that Tampa Bay bench. Spencer gave chase, and now the referee with the flag whipping in his hand, throwing his flag up.
Pretty frantic play right now, Mike. We're just going side to side, almost like a tennis match. And what's difficult about that level of play is it's hard to keep it up for an extended period of time. Both of these teams are going to really go through a lot of gas early on, 25th minute. And we've seen a lot of side to side. We haven't seen any slow buildups. We've seen the ball moving down the pitch very, very quickly.
And Zotti trying to enter the area. He's called for the foul. He threw his hand up, looking for a call at the edge of the area. Didn't get it, and still arguing that point.
Yeah, for an offensive player in the penalty box, you aren't used to getting called for a play like that. And obviously, when you've got the offensive advantage, you don't want to hear a whistle because you want to keep pressing.
And by Tosh. Nice touch on. Spencer charging through. And it's knocked away. And launched back to the halfway line.
And there was another example of Spencer finding the seams and then having to deal with the double team.
Craig went down. Play continues. Portillo's. Big collision on the far side. That'll be a yellow card for McMahon, and Schaefer back to his feet. A legend out of Wolfsburg. McMahon carded in the 26th.
Yeah, that was an easy call for referee Freeman. So Tampa Bay will have their first set piece. Probably a little too far for complete striking distance, but they'll look to put the ball in the area and make a play on. You just see that collision there, just late getting in.
There's no argument there, right?
I mean, you make an argument simply because you have to, but you're not. It's not one you're going to win.
There's Ristoff. Is he the focus? Blake left that a bit short. Well, certainly he was. Ristoff, a guy who scored off a free kick last time out.
That's really the first time that we called Jack Blake's name.
Del Piccolo quickly dispossessed. But on it again after the effort from Guinzotti.
And Jack Blake, first year with Tampa Bay, that's a kid that can score a lot of goals and do them in spectacular form.
When you think about that Young Player of the Year award in the NASL, Fernandez and Blake, winners of it in 2017 and 2015 respectively. They have really good scoring histories. Fernandez, a guy who Rowdies fans are very familiar with. Blake, not so yet. This guy who came over on loan from Jacksonville, and then they solidified it as a permanent move. Great move here by Smith. The follow-up not as strong.
Yeah, Leo Fernandez actually scored. I actually called the first goal of his career in 2015. It was a spectacular goal. Jack Blake called his as well. Both of those players are special players. Obviously, the Rowdies and the Rowdies fans know Leo Fernandez a little bit better than they know Jack Blake at this point. But as the season goes on, Blake is going to show them what he's capable of and should quickly become a fan favorite.
Part of a group that has a ton of overall interesting pieces to it. Junior Fleming's coming from New York. Jochen Graf, a familiar name from Rochester a year ago. Touch on by Spencer. There's a knockback by Hunter Gorski.
Right now, this is the most aggressive that Lou City's been in this match as we close close to the 30-minute mark. And the way that the center fullbacks have been playing, Collins and Gorski, the more pressure that the purple and white can put on the Rowdies, the more that they can control the ball, especially in that final third. The way that Luke Spencer has been exerting himself, just as you see him putting pressure on Mizell. If the Rowdies are going to give Lou City this type of opportunity, they're going to be flirting with disaster.
A little more space here for Rasmussen. Got knocked by Roseboom. Looking to meet the ball on the other side, Rasmussen was. Freeman pointing back. It's just a talking to for Roseboom.
Yeah, it wasn't anything card-worthy, but enough for Freeman to have a chat, tell him, I'm not going to let you get away with that a second time. Very doubtful they were making dinner plans.
Del Piccolo will stroll away, and Jimenez will step forward. 28-year-old in the state of Washington. The USL and chances created last year largely because of opportunities like this. Bounces all the way through, and Mizell, lucky man, there were two purple jerseys bracketing him in the 6-yard box.
And I think for Lou City, they were surprised that ball got through as cleanly as it did. And sometimes, you know, you watch a game like this, and as a fan, you sit and go, well, why didn't they take a swipe at it? Sometimes you're just amazed that you even had an opportunity, and you're sitting there going, wait a minute, how'd that get through? And that's one of those examples.
Corner coming, and Marcel Schaefer will place it down. Jack Blake next to him as well. It'll be Schaefer, over 250 appearances at Wolfsburg. Outswinging ball aimed towards Gorski. Spencer putting on the Jets here. Big collision play continues. Davis up the line, followed by Portillos. It was Portillos last to touch that.
Like the no call by the referee to allow play to continue. We get the look at it right here. advantage to either club. But the advantage now with Lou City as they have the corner coming up.
And no, that was a case where I guess Portillo's did not get a touch to that.
Wish we could go back and look at that as well, because it looked like the ball was off Portillo's.
And that would have been a tough angle for a referee who's making a full field run to figure out. But Rowdies on it again here in the 32nd, going on the 33rd minute of play.
You know, Mike, when we were talking about this match at the beginning, talking about the firepower and the scoring chances that both of these teams create, would you think that we would have been 33 minutes in and not had a goal at this point?
Big collision. There's been a couple good looks at it. More so the one great look by Spencer that Mizell kick saved away. Other than that, yeah, it's been largely, I like how you put it, it was a bit of a tennis match. Najum launching that out of play, as this portion of today's broadcast brought to you by Sullivan University. When you talk to Nico Castillo, who's up for the fictitious PR Man of the Year for the Rowdies, we all love Nico.
Our man Nico.
He's in there with Scott Stewart from Louisville City, who have put newcomers of the year up.
I will readily agree with that. Both teams do great jobs with their notes and keeping those of us that are trying to keep the fans at home as entertained and as informed as possible. They make our jobs very, very easy.
But he did tell us just how good Najum's been since coming over from New York. Sometimes you see a player that's so strong for the opposition that you want to bring him down. That was the case with both Najum and Junior Flemings. After certainly that playoff-ending loss against New York Red Bulls too. As Rasmussen sticks his foot at this, but it's Roseboom who moves upfield. Blake. Najum on the back heel. Najum playing through toward the byline. It was a long run, and Guinzotti didn't get there nearly in time.
Outstanding run of form by Tampa Bay. 1-2 touches all the way down the pitch, and then that one just a little too heavy getting towards the line. Ranjitsingh will direct traffic and then kick this one away.
Crowd is filled in nicely in downtown Louisville. 35th minute, scoreless. In terms of matches in the early USL season, few match the star power and the overall anticipation of this one.
Yeah, this is one of those matches that when the schedule came out, you circled it and said, this is going to be a good one. In 35 minutes in, it's living up to the billing.
You think about Louisville, they've got FC Cincinnati next at Nippert Stadium. So 2 consecutive matches that you would argue are among the handful best on their schedule. And for Tampa Bay, they host Ottawa next. Familiar foes from leagues past. Jimenez on the turn.
Yeah, when we get a minute, we got to stoppage of play. Take a look at the action throughout USL today. There are some great matches being played around the league that some would argue would rival this one. We've got that graphic for you, so don't go away. Maybe we'll be able to get that in before the half.
It's a league record, 15 matches today, up to 33 teams in USL, and well, there's one in each time slot that's going to draw some attention. Jimenez trying to leak in behind. Fired that from a very tight angle. It's a goal kick coming.
Yeah, it would have been better served to have tried to center it rather than try to take a swipe at Mizell, because not only did he not have the angle, he was running out of real estate as he got close to the line.
Well, Mizell goes back to work. He's one of the few guys where it didn't seem like there was an enormous challenge for his spot. Akira Fitzgerald played so well in Pickens' place last year when he went out due to injury, but Mizell coming in from Charlotte, one of the few teams in the league that can say they've got over 2 goals per game and a shutout so far in the early season. Louisville another. This away from Francis and a throw coming for Najum. A turn from Blake, couldn't slip it through Del Piccolo. Najum tapping it through the legs of Francis. Ranjitsingh will have a goal kick for Louisville City in the 38th.
Craig doing a good job of ushering it out so Ranjitsingh can do his thing. And I keep going back to it, and I guess at the end of the day, with the exception of the big save by Mizell, Ranjitsingh, who has been active mostly in kicking it and punting it away, hasn't really been challenged. I guess that's kind of the surprising part for me, is the Rowdies have not really challenged that man right there. And that despite the fact that offensively they've probably been the better of the two teams collectively.
Well, they've gotten the ball up the wing with varied direction and largely at the feet too.
Well, and you look at this match, from Mizell to 2/3 down the pitch, Tampa Bay's been the better team. They've moved it at will. They've had cleaner passes. They just haven't been able to get the ball cleanly to Fernandez, Georgie, Guinzotti to try to take rips on goal. On the other side, Lou City has been struggling a little bit in the middle, but when they get to that final third, they found ways to get Spencer active.
Here he is. Spencer knocked away by Mizell. Well, that was real dangerous for Louisville, largely out of nothing. And that goes entirely to your point, doesn't it, Bruce?
Yeah, and I'm still right now, and you see there's Spencer, and he's hobbling just a little bit because of that collision with Mizell. Great one-on-one situation. He was trying to move that ball to his left foot to work it past Mizell. Mizell just cut off the angle like a good keeper does, and we're still tied at 0-0.
Away from Jimenez by Collins. Full 360 from Smith in central midfield.
And then just lost it, so as pretty as it looked initially, it wasn't that effective.
Guinzotti. Back now for Najum. Intercepted by Rasmussen. Makes his first start with Louisville since the 2015 inaugural season. Touch in by Francis, knocked away Roseboom. Continues on through Smith. Craig, a crossfield rip. And a throw for Jimenez.
A little too much real estate on that pass by Craig. But the purple and white staying on the ball. Trying to lead Spencer on that one, and that's where Spencer has just been so incredibly effective in that middle. You know, we made this point once before. They set up as a 3-4-3, but they're not playing that way. Spencer is definitely playing that high number 9 at this point.
Francis kept it in. Stu Campbell appealed the AR. Wow, did Jimenez find his way through? Pack heels it on the end line. Jimenez! Offside netting. Mizell did not touch it.
Jimenez had a teammate sprinting in at the end of that play that if he hadn't already committed to taking that shot on goal, probably could have passed it off very easy. And because Mizell had already bit to play the block on Jimenez, there probably would have been nothing but the back of the net on this one, and you see it. Great job of keeping it in play.
Yeah, that's Smith running down the middle behind the trailer.
And it almost looked like Jimenez looked and saw Smith coming in and still still took his chance.
And to be fair, plenty of traffic there with Tampa Bay racing back into position, and Mizell not going one way or the other entirely. And
it's always easy when you got a headset on.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, when you're sitting in the middle of 15 guys and trying to find somebody who's wearing the same uniform as you, and your ground level, it's so much more difficult than when you have a bird's eye view.
Our job is controlled chaos. Their job is just chaos.
Yeah, it's fair. Look, you've been around this game for a long time. I've been watching soccer since 1977, and yes, I'm old enough to be your father.
You've dated yourself.
I've more than dated myself. But there's such a difference in watching a game from above than ground level.
Mm-hmm.
And the advantage that you have as a fan, the advantage that you have as a broadcaster is you have a very different view of the playing surface and the way the game unfolds than you do when you're even on ground level.
Gonzatti had taken that away, but Tosh recovers. Gonzatti in there again.
Recently had a conversation with a referee who told me he would love to be able to call a game from above.
Yeah.
Versus being in the middle of everything. He said, I think I could be more effective that way. I wasn't quite sure what to make of that.
Right.
If he was saying he wasn't effective being in the middle of it. But the other thing is, you know, when you go to some of these teams' practices, and you know, some coaches like to coach in the middle. Like they'll be in the circle right now amongst the chaos. Other coaches like to be above the play, whether it is on a tower right at the 50. I've known coaches that would go 30 and 50 rows above the pitch and not even be anywhere near their assistants as they work through practices, because they see the game differently, which is the reason why coaches go back and watch games on film versus what you see field level.
How often do you see a coach at a press conference say, I want to see it again before I comment one way or another?
No, and it's very fair. Spencer is going to try to bull his way through. Big-time defensive play by Neil Collins there to ride him off the ball.
Neil Collins is one of those guys that you just love to hear from in general, and one of the great players as Ristoff comes through.
And Georgie knows he's chasing history, as we talked about earlier.
Yes, after those 2 goals that would have him the all-time goal-scoring leader for Tampa Bay. He's some 20-plus goals beyond the modern record, but he's after the big one now. Stoppage time would have been presented by Sullivan University. The referees haven't added any time yet, and the 4th official, Aaron Hernandez, indicating that there may be no additional time.
Well, considering how clean this game really has been, that's not much of a surprise. I mean, the only delay we really had was before the opening whistle.
3 minutes just from the net being rearranged pregame.
So was it swoop, loop, and pull, or was it the rabbit ears?
You know, looking at it, it looked like rabbit ears. That's got to be a highlight at halftime, right? It is halftime. If you're Louisville, you had one great chance with Spencer and a handful of decent ones. If you're the Rowdies, decent possession, you would be pretty pleased with how you played on the road.
Yeah, but for both of these teams, you got to look and say, hey, we did our job defensively. Offensively, we need to do a little bit better in the final third. If you're Lou City, just keep trying to get the ball to Luke Spencer because he's earned it to this point. And if you're Tampa Bay, get it to your front 3 and let them take rips on that man right there.
Clean start for the walkout. They fix up the net. Neither team able to breach behind these 2 goalkeepers. We're scoreless at halftime. A look around the league. Highlights and stats from the first half after this.
Waiting for spring? Be ready for all the season has to offer with a great deal on a new Toyota.
Get 0% financing for 60 months on any adventurous new 2018 RAV4. Or lease this well-equipped RAV4 LE for just $199 a month, now through April 2nd.
Ready, set, go get your Toyota today.
Toyota. Go places.
Have a great business concept or invention but don't know how to turn it into something tangible? The U of L MBA program can teach you the business skills needed to turn a great idea into a great business. You'll be taught by faculty who are also serial entrepreneurs and investors and will gain great connections in the entrepreneurial community. If you're serious about taking your idea to the next level, visit uoflmba.com to learn more. Bring your business vision to life with an entrepreneurship MBA from the University of Louisville.
The spring sales event is on now at Kentuckiana's #1 Commonwealth Dodge Ram. A 2018 Ram 1500 Crew Cab 4x4 pickup discounted over $10,000, now just $31,800, or lease for just $249 a month. An 18 Dodge Grand Caravan SXT discounted over $9,000 to just $25,500, or lease for $269 a month. And an 18 Dodge Journey now just $16,990.
Coach Scott Davenport here for my good friends at Commonwealth Dodge Ram. Right on Preston and always right on the price.
I got my true start in the culinary arts when I joined the British Army and learned from really, really brilliant chefs. One of the highlights for me was making Princess Anne's wedding cake. I've traveled, I've won numerous awards and competitions, but education is where my heart is. I want each student at Sullivan to receive the mentorship that I received during my training. We are dedicated to educating the next generation of chefs.
It's a windy day. Could you tell, Bruce, at halftime?
Yeah, you couldn't tell at all the way the wind was whipping around and the way it sounded on the pitch, the way the fans are, well,
some are
bundled up. I wear long sleeves no matter what, so it really doesn't matter. Both of these teams have a lot that they can build on and some things they need to work on. Both of these teams, class of the East.
Certainly so. There are 7 teams without a loss in the Eastern Conference right now, but only 3 can make this claim. Not only do these 3 teams not have a loss, but they all have a shutout through the first few weeks, and all of them have scored 2 goals or more in the average through this point.
Yeah, I'm looking at this, and you see why Tampa Bay and Louisville have those shutouts. You got Charlotte, who's off to an outstanding start again this season, even without Cody Mizell.
And Enzo Martinez is in Colorado now.
And then you look at Lou City, and obviously they've only played 1 game. So this is and this is early in the season. But if we were having this conversation in, say, 25, 27 games, I don't think the conversation changes all that much.
No, I think we're probably seeing the same 3 logos. Only a couple could really make a similar claim as it stands right now. In terms of the state of the league, up to 33 teams. This is as strong as the USL has ever been, and Jake Edwards has talked about that over the course of the first few weeks as part of a multi-part interview that's also available on YouTube. We show you another part of it right now. At halftime, it's Louisville City 0, Tampa Bay Rowdies 0. Now, our fearless leader, Jake Edwards.
We're being joined today by Jake Edwards, president of the USL. Just getting ready to kick off an exciting 2018 season. Jake, thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
So, Jake, the expansion this year has brought a large group of new owners to the USL to complement this already very strong base of ownership that we've seen that's really led to the success of the league. Talk about the USL ownership group and what these new folks are bringing.
Many of our owners, I'd say the vast majority of our owners now, have owned and operated sports organizations in multiple different leagues. They bring with them a real understanding of the the economics of sport, the what's required in terms of an investment level in the facilities, in the community, in all the different programs that our teams run. So for me, it's a privilege to get to work with all of these very experienced businessmen and women on a daily basis, and I'm just constantly thrilled by the commitment and investment they have into their local communities and ultimately into our sport. The new owners that are joining our league now are coming in every year with bigger ambitions. For us, we continue to drive value from a business point of view. The model continues to attract more and more sophisticated owners into the league, and that's something that we believe will have such a positive impact on the future of this league and the new initiatives that we want to embark upon.
Last year we surpassed 2 million in attendance. Talk about what your expectations are for this season, and in terms of attendance at live games and just overall awareness of the league.
Yeah, our fans are the lifeblood of this league, as they are for every league. We've seen the support for our clubs grow exponentially. We're already significantly ahead of where we were this time last year on average per club for season tickets. I think it speaks to the excitement. It speaks to what's happening in the local communities. It speaks to the all of the things we're trying to do, building new stadiums, creating more exciting, authentic environments, attracting better players, having a more competitive and compelling league. I think it's, at least for the league office here, a substantial investment in content production and infrastructure around the broadcast, around the digital and social. And so we take great pride in growing that area of the business and engaging with the fans from a team point of view and a league point of view.
Goodbye sweater, goodbye hat, goodbye scarf, goodbye cap, goodbye to these things, and hello to spring. Hello trees, hello sun, hello fresh air, hello fun. The end. This spring, get a great deal on a new Toyota.
Get 0.9% financing on the aggressively sophisticated 2018 Highlander. Or get a great low lease on this Highlander for just $299 a month. Now through April 2nd.
Ready, set, go get your Toyota today.
Toyota, let's go places.
I was excited to partner up with Baptist to do a training facility in Louisville.
We hired the right people to get the job done.
You can come here and hop into a group training, or if you want one-on-one training, we can focus on that.
It's kids that want to develop and get some confidence to adults who are looking to join a class.
It caters to whatever you want to accomplish. Live, enjoy life, and just be healthy.
Have a great business concept or invention but don't know how to turn it into something tangible? The U of L MBA program can teach you the business skills needed to turn a great idea into a great business. You'll be taught by faculty who are also serial entrepreneurs and investors and will gain great connections in the entrepreneurial community. If you're serious about taking your idea to the next level, visit uoflmba.com to learn more. Bring your business vision to life with an entrepreneurship MBA from the University of Louisville.
The spring sales event is on now at Kentuckiana's #1 Commonwealth Dodge Ram. A 2018 Ram 1500 Crew Cab 4x4 pickup discounted over $10,000, now just $31,800, or lease for just $249 a month. An 18 Dodge Grand Caravan SXT discounted over $9,000 to just $25,500, or lease for $269 a month. And an 18 Dodge Journey, now just $16,990.
Coach Scott Davenport here for my good friends at Commonwealth Dodge Ram. Right on Preston and always right on the price.
I got my true start in the culinary arts when I joined the British Army and learned from really, really brilliant chefs. One of the highlights for me was making Princess Anne's wedding cake. I've traveled, I've won numerous awards and competitions, but education is where my heart is. I want each student at Sullivan to receive the mentorship that I received during my training. We are dedicated to educating the next generation of chefs.
Bruce Silverman alongside Mike Watts. Second half right around the corner. This is one of the most highly anticipated games on the early season United Soccer League schedule. Louisville City, the reigning champions, taking on the Tampa Bay Rowdies, one of the big star power teams in the USL. Let's take a look at just how successful Louisville's been in the playoffs the last few years to put this all into perspective. The Rowdies, of course, you saw this earlier, one of the big Eastern Conference teams, and Louisville among that conversation again. But the last 3 years, 5 playoff wins. That's second most in the league. New York Red Bulls, 2, have 6. They've made it to the USL Cup final once and been to the Eastern Conference final a couple of times. But Louisville really has been one of the classes of the league since joining as an expansion
Well, they
side.
absolutely have been, and obviously the reigning champions for a reason. It's the reason why you look at this graphic and you see that they've got that star now on their logo. Energy trips to the final in 15 and 17, looking to do it again in 18. You know, you got Red Bulls 2, and you've got that situation. You know, for me right now, Louisville second half, they've just got to settle down a little bit. There were some openings that they can exploit with Spencer, and I know that we're going to get to the second half and what we expect in the second half in a moment. For me, Luke Spencer was absolutely the best player wearing purple and white for James O'Connor.
A look at the scoreboard around the United Soccer League as we look ahead to what's the busiest week in league history, 15 games being played in the USL. And we've got some major fixtures.
Yeah, we've got some great matchups. You look at the Bulls, Red Bulls 5-2 over Charleston. Nashville gets the win and gets their first goal of the season, so welcome to USL Nashville SC. But for me, you've got the matchups this evening. Penn FC, which they get the great addition of Tommy Heineman joining Raul Voss there. Charlotte and Atlanta later on in Charlotte in the Queen City. But how about that matchup? Not too many miles in between them. 15,000 plus expected at Lucas tonight. Indy 11 and FC Cincinnati. That should be a huge game.
And Louisville fans will be paying attention because the big derby's coming up next week. That roundup of scores is brought to you by Commonwealth Credit Union. As we look ahead to what should be an interesting evening after a couple of good fixtures in the early afternoon. Fans looking for more highlights in this second half. Scoreless through 45 minutes. As we take a look back at that opening half and our first half highlights, this is a game where, in reality, Louisville could have scored through Luke Spencer early. They could have scored in the opening couple of minutes too, but the Rowdies getting through that and putting together a good half.
Yeah, here's an early example of what we were talking about. Spencer splitting the two defenders, Mizell getting the save. But that's been basically the look on this end of the pitch. Spencer having to deal with Collins and Gorski. On the other side, it's been a tale of Tampa Bay trying to get the ball to their front three.
That ball for Georgi Hristov doesn't find pay dirt. So a nice build-up on this left-hand side, something that the Rowdies have done quite well in recent weeks.
Yeah, and Tampa Bay needs, really, if they're going to be effective, they need that ball on the ground. Another great run by Spencer, and here's the save of the day, kick save by Mizell. But you see that Lou City has just been finding Spencer in the middle throughout the afternoon. Expect that again as this game progresses. But going back to my earlier thought, Tampa Bay has to get that service on the ground in that final third. Too much real estate on those centering passes. The ball's too much in the air, too many 50-50s, and here's Spencer, another opportunity and another big save by Mizell.
Cody Mizell, 2 massive saves against Spencer in this opening half. This time a delicate touch. The big man flying to ground. It was a clean play for sure by Cody Mizell in his first year back with the Rowdies. This ball to Oscar Jimenez. There's a couple options he has here. He chooses to shoot.
Yeah, he pulls up the brakes, keeps the ball in play. Not sure if you saw Kyle Smith sprinting in, but an outstanding individual effort to stop the ball from going off the line and then finding that side netting.
As we take a look at our VisionWorks, what to look for as we head into the second half of play. And you said it, more Luke Spencer is a good thing for Louisville.
Yeah, if you're Louisville, just keep trying to exploit Spencer finding those spaces. And for Tampa Bay, it's shutting down those spaces. Everything in this second half is about that matchup right there. It's either going to break the game open for Lou City or what's going to keep the game tight for Tampa Bay.
Rowdies still huddled up as Luke Spencer spots the ball at the halfway line. A couple good chances in this first half. The leading scorer for Louisville City a year ago, the Eastern Conference's #1 scoring offense, returning the vast majority of a team where every single field player managed to score. No changes at the half. For Louisville, they are without Richie Ballard and Cameron Lancaster. Both are conceivably healthy, neither in the 18 tonight. On the other side, most notably on the bench, Joe Cole, the captain, is available for Tampa Bay, as well as Jochen Graf and Junior Flemings, a couple of key offensive options should they go for a three-point performance or fall behind in this second half. As this portion of today's broadcast is brought to you by Plainview Apartments. They're the official housing provider of Lou City.
Second half starts up just as windy as the first, but the sun has come out, so it might make seeing the ball a little bit more interesting for both of these clubs.
They'll be attacking into the sunlight. As the fans sunglass wearing this afternoon. The turn, nothing there. Ranjit Singh pressured. Hit by Gorski, taken by Francis. It's recovered by Blake.
Yeah, Tampa gave the ball up a little too easy in that exchange right there.
Slow ball for McMahon. Again, the pressure came. Jimenez has to go up the line, and it's a throw to Tampa Bay.
So Portillos will take this one.
Fernandez. Aim for Schaefer. And now the run-out's on for Louisville. Rasmussen puts on the brakes. Looking for Davis, who's dragged into the corner. Najim in pursuit. All lifted to the right. Headed out in front by Jimenez. Spencer is the target, and it's Neil Collins again playing center field between it all.
And Collins very wisely kicking it out. Will give a throw for Lou City. You look at Oscar, who has been active throughout this match. Actually, corner coming up.
Corner bar and restaurant.
Out in front of the Coopers and fans that line behind Cody Mizell in this second half. Francis has been a bit off on his set-piece service to this point. Francis drives the cross, popped up by McMahon and Roseboom. As far as Jimenez, lobbed it back forward.
And that was the best set piece that we've seen from either team.
You have to wonder, we hear the wind whipping, we see the flags moving, but sometimes you forget that when you don't see service go the right way, how that might be affected.
Actually, you think that the services on set pieces that get lifted would be more affected by wind than the ones that we've seen early in this match. Early in this match, we've seen a lot of balls short. We've seen a lot of low balls. You know, you loft it up in the air. Yes, opportunity for the ball to drift a little bit. But that was the first ball that even got lifted on a set piece.
Spencer double teamed again. No space for him today. Rasmussen goes down. That's a fair play. Gorski involved. And now lifted long for the Rowdies. But the flag is up against Georgi Ristov.
And the captain there, clearly offside.
It took just one training session for the Rowdies to realize that they wanted to sign him. He's a native of Bulgaria, 33 years old. After that first trial training session, they signed him to a contract.
130 games, now 131 games later, sitting on 55 career goals.
Gorski steps in as Rasmussen tried to flick that backward. Kind of funny when you think about it. It was a trial start for this modern era goal scoring leader, and then you look at the all-time goal scoring leader, and he came to get fit during the offseason and never left.
Yeah, you know, you show up in Tampa, weather is, you know, pretty good. You know, Tampa Bay, Nottingham, Tampa Bay, Nottingham. I think I'd take Tampa Bay too.
Now you've got Al Lang Stadium, one of the gems in USL. It's a fantastic, a former baseball stadium that the Rowdies have taken over and made their own. It's a gorgeous facility right on the water in St. Pete. Yeah, I'd probably play there too. Joe Cole walks to the stadium. That's not so bad.
No, definitely not. But in 1975, when we were talking about Derek Smethurst, Smethurst was playing his games at what Chris Berman called the sombrero in front of 35, 45,000 in Tampa Bay, former home of the Rowdies and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And wow, Spencer, who would have thunk it?
Yes, poked away by Neil Collins. Spencer has been the man today in the offense for Louisville. You think back to last year, Louisville among the league leaders in goals in the final 15 minutes. They feel their style translates well late in games. McMahon ahead. Spencer rising up for that. And Najim allows it out with Francis approaching the doorstep. And for the Rowdies, it was 0-0 in their last game at halftime. They scored twice in the final half hour.
There are stats in any sport that are meaningless. When I look at stats about how effective teams are in the game of football in that final 30 minutes, that to me is a very telling stat. As you see, this ball was just driven by McMahon a little too hard. If it had lifted a little bit more, if there's a little bit more air there.
Chance for Guinzotti, stopped by Ranjit Singh, major save. Guinzotti still, and then a shot over the bar. It's a goal kick. It all happened so quickly for Tampa Bay, as it often does.
Ranjit Singh coming into duty, and a very huge save. Just knocking that one away as Guinzotti was knocking on the door.
But goals late, coaches always talk about that. And when you've got great goalkeepers, that can keep goals against you late in games. But oftentimes you see those big disparities. You think beyond the goalkeeper and you think it's the style the team's playing.
Well, it's the style of play. It is the football IQ.
Rasmussen through, squared across by Spencer. It's a bit behind Francis.
Football IQ, conditioning. There's a number of factors there. And also keeping your focus. Because late in games, it's very easy to lose your focus. You look at games, the 87th minute on are crucial times in football games. Draws become wins. Draws become losses. Wins become draws. And it's all because of that focus at the end and that drive at the end. You have teams that when they're down, they're driven to get that point. And then you've got teams that are up and they're too lax in the way that they finish, and they end up with those draws, and those are the draws that feel like losses.
Guinzotti after it again. Paco Craig ushers it back to Ranjit Singh. That's part of the discussion about last year Tampa Bay. There were just a couple road draws that felt like losses for them. As Craig showing a strong inclination forward And now throwing his arm out in frustration. Chance for Fernandez. Hopped up on him, and he plays it out altogether.
Yeah, that shot from about 25 out by Fernandez, and it wasn't clean at all. And difficult in that position on this pitch to get a clean shot off. Ranjitsingh will kick this one away again. Both keepers showing pretty strong legs.
Well, they do look a little stronger on a little more condensed field. That always helps.
Didn't want to point that out.
Well, there's a lot of goals scored on this field in the past couple of years.
Still plenty of football to be played.
Wrist off into the middle. Blake from distance. And Ranjitsingh diving for it, but it's wide of the post.
Blake saw something there, just wasn't able to take advantage of it from long distance. And I think we've seen this movie before.
Clearance by Roseboom a little more. Just beyond the midfield. Blake got it up the right-hand side. Guinzotti, strong move. Fernandez pushing in on McMahon, who concedes a corner.
Well marked by McMahon to keep that ball away from the 18. Looks like Blake will come over and take this in-swinger.
Blake out of Nottingham Forest, 2016 with Minnesota United. Still just 23 years old. Blake left that short. Brought down by Davis, the wily veteran of this Louisville group. Off of Davis there. Ian Francis, 30 and 31 years old, working the wings today. Schaefer at the byline, serves, knotted down, knocked away Ranjitsingh. Still alive for Fernandez, who turns it back. Shot fired across, handled by Ranjitsingh on the service.
Dangerous activity by the Rowdies, trying to find a clear pathway to the net, and they just weren't able to do it. Ball stayed outside of the 6, and Tampa just unable to turn cleanly to get a shot on Ranjitsingh.
Close from Guinzotti there. Spencer fouled. Free kick Louisville in the attacking third.
Spencer has been quieted a little bit in the second half, and we figured Stuart Campbell was going to have a conversation with Collins and Gorski and kind of shut down that advantage that Luke Spencer has had. Set piece coming up, and this is a good place for Lou City to take advantage of a set piece. Ball is on very green grass at the moment.
And a couple of those guys aren't bad targets to aim for.
Spencer is going to try to break himself free.
Jimenez, aim for McMahon. The follow-up shot is wide. Wow, that was a hit. Mizell went diving for it. It's out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, if you're going to take your chances from long distance, that's a great ball to take just wide of the net. Otherwise, this home crowd would have gone crazy. Just outside the 18 and just right of the upright.
Collins out of harm's way on Stuart Campbell's bench.
Oscar will take this throw.
Dangerous challenge. That's Georgie Ristoff in on McMahon. That should be a card. First glance. Referee's got it out.
All right, Georgie, you haven't gotten your 56th goal yet, but you are in the book in the 60th minute.
He only had 10 yellow cards last year.
Only?
Yeah, right. Work hard, play hard if you're Georgie Ristoff. Who, as a famed play-by-play announcer might say, will not allow the bagels. Rasmussen taps it ahead. Jimenez. Play coming back. James O'Connor discussing this with Aaron Hernandez, the fourth official.
I'm sure that was a fun conversation.
I wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of James O'Connor.
Mizell will send everybody forward. And that will dribble past the line.
James O'Connor still working the fourth official. Duran Jitsing will go back to work here. 61st minute.
And at this point, O'Connor is already, the play's already done. What he's working on is the effect of the next call.
Knocked back by Craig. This portion of tonight's broadcast brought to you by Luna Azul Tequila, the official tequila of Louisville City.
Blake slowed that play down a little bit by going wide.
Intercepted by Blake. Aimed that ball into the center of the 6-yard box. Roseboom. Schaefer can hit from here. We've seen it before. Portillos, the overlap on. Portillos trying to sneak Schaefer through.
But he'll gladly take the throw.
It's a Tampa Bay team that had the 5th most explosive offense in the East. Last year, they scored 50 times. Louisville, the #1 offense, and still scoreless to this point despite strong offensive starts to both seasons. Guinzotti crossing, aiming for Ristoff, pulled in by Ranjitsing, rolls up higher.
Yeah, that ball just stayed up way too long. Makes for an easy save for Ranjitsing.
Big collision. Comes down to Spencer, who turns. It looked like they were trying to play advantage, but there's a player down still in the 63rd minute.
Rasmussen holding his head, which is never a good sign. So you have two teams that know how to score. They've taken 13 shots among them, and only 3 have been on target up until this point. Big testament to the defensive play of both of these clubs. And a testament, at least through the first 18 minutes, for Tampa Bay in the way that they've been able to isolate Spencer and keep him in check. Rasmussen is going to go through the protocol right now.
Came back from Denmark where he played for BK Frem. Missed time with a labral tear in his hip before that. The only question is fitness. Spent 2 years in Louisville. This is his first start, I should say, since 2016. You can see that collision up high.
.50-50, and he's checked out, so we'll be back in action.
We'll see if it changes on the way. We mentioned that Louisville's a little thin up front with Ballard and Lancaster not in the 18 today.
Lancaster along with Spencer, 12 goals each in their career. Both are active leaders. The record for Lou City, sitting with Matt Fondy, 25 in just 1 year of action with this club.
Chandler Hoffman not far behind that great year in
16.
North Carolina FC, that was supposed to be the Matt Fondy derby. Didn't work out that way. This is Jimenez on the restart. High arcing over everybody and out altogether. Rasmussen returns. It's funny when you see a couple of teams. I'm not sure that New York and Tampa Bay will suddenly become the Nodgem or the Flemings derby, but occasionally there's a player who becomes identified by both franchises in a short amount of time. All of a sudden, the rivalry centers on one unsuspecting figure in the long run.
As this league grows and matures, which it's doing on both of those cases, you're going to see players moving around. The days of a player going to one city and staying there their entire career, just as you don't see that in baseball any longer, you're not going to see it in USL. Guy goes like a Matt Fondy who scores a lot of goals. He's going to find himself, and Speedy Williams is going to be checking into the game for Francis.
This is the first appearance for Devin Williams of the season, and it's a substitution that's brought to you by Great Clips. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
Well, that was right on cue.
Sure was. Lance McCarvey, he's the king of Louisville voices. He's got the catbird seat, too. Away from Schaefer.
Schaefer lost the handle on that one. Tampa Bay was flirting.
Back to Williams, who had that gorgeous assist to Cameron Lancaster on the game-winning goal in the USL Championship final. Bringing USL Cup to Louisville, fans storming the field for quite some time afterwards. Williams played through. Not only did Collins fall down, so too did Mizell, but Mizell's back to his feet.
It would have made things a little interesting if he hadn't gotten back on his feet.
No kidding. Bouncing toward Ristoff. Tried to take that on the volley.
That ball hopped up on Georgie, and he wasn't able to get a left foot on it.
And there is Jochen Graf checking in. He scored 11 goals last year, all inside the 18 for Rochester. It's a substitution that's brought to you by Great Clips. He replaces Sebastian Guinzotti, who had maybe the best opportunity for the Rowdies in the second half to this point.
Guinzotti, sort of a quiet game for him, but then again, this game has been quiet for Georgie and for Leo as well. Jitsing will kick this one away once again. 68th, now 69th minute. Scoreless between two teams that know how to put the ball in the back of the net.
7 goals in their 3 combined games between these two teams to this point offensively. Which would make this a, I don't know, a mirage? It's unexpected to be sure. Snap booted out.
But how often do you watch a game and you got two teams that know how to score and then nobody scores?
Too many?
I mean, you know, rarely will you get two teams that score a lot where it's a low-scoring game.
Right.
It's either a 0-0 draw or they shoot lights out.
That's right. No. Played through Del Piccolo. Chance for Jimenez. He puts it in. Right on cue. Louisville takes the lead in the 69th minute.
And as if we were scripting it so perfectly for you, Jimenez breaking through on that left side with way too much time on his hands, way too many options. Mizell had to guess, and Jimenez, back of the net, 1-0 Lou City.
What a look from Del Piccolo.
Led him perfectly on the left side, just outside of the 6, and he was able to roll it home.
That Louisville City goal presented by Kentucky Lottery was scored by number 19, Oscar
And the crowd loves it. It's a goal that's presented by the Kentucky Lottery. They're fueling imagination and funding education. The Kentucky Lottery.
If you're Lou City and you get on the board in the 69th minute and the goal is not by Luke Spencer, you're feeling really good about your chances, because Spencer has been all of the immediate offense in the final third. But then you have Jimenez, who just gets an outstanding pass from Del Piccolo, and he just slides it home. Now the pressure is really on Stuart Campbell's club, because they have done very little to really challenge Ranjitsingh. Mizell has been far more active, and here comes another one. Del Piccolo loses his footing.
Del Piccolo dropping back. Now numbers in the box for the men in purple. Jimenez, there's some contact there. Play continues. Smith angry after the fact. It's making its way to Graff, with Ristoff moving either wide or a little further back, and McMahon will have a throw. 3 goals last year, should be noted for Jimenez. That is first of the season.
Which bodes very, very well for Lou City, because the more that they can spread the wealth, the more interesting it's going to be for their opponents to try to shut them down.
It is funny, last year, leading into the season, we said, okay, Matt Fondy's gone, and Chandler Hoffman's gone, so who's your goal scorer now, Coach? And he said, I think we've got some good forwards this year. Could be Lancaster, who was one of the highest per-minute scorers in the league a couple years ago. He got injured in the first couple weeks, and then it's Spencer. And in the end, it just ended up being everybody picking up at the right time and pulling the rope in the right direction.
Well, and you also look at Lou City. We made a lot of Luke Spencer tonight, but Rasmussen has 11 goals on his career. George Davis, who's been relatively quiet tonight, he has 11 goals. So between the 3 of those guys, you got 34 career goals on this pitch right now up front.
And that's without your big superstar scorers, as Graff commits the foul.
Yeah, you got 12 goals that aren't even in a kit tonight, right, in Lancaster. So Lou City's not looking to who their goal scorers are going to be. They know who their goal scorers are going to be. So when you get a Jimenez involved, when you get a Del Piccolo involved, you start to spread the wealth. You talked about Speedy Williams and the assist that he had in the championship a year ago. That is the type of offense that you want to run. You don't want to be one-dimensional. You want your opponent to sit back and go, where's it coming from?
Odds are, you write it down pregame. You probably aren't writing in Oscar's name, but that's the way it goes. Louisville's got this 1-0 lead. That 69th minute goal. Smith throws in. Spencer turning around with Roseboom. Right in his shadow. Advantage played. Blake goes down now. There's no more advantage.
Well, the advantage stays with Tampa Bay, but with Blake going down, it at least slows down a bit.
Mike Gorski takes over again. Boy, did he settle this defense down last year. Fighting for one of the most fearsome center back pairings in the league, Gorski and Neil Collins. A year ago, it was Collins and Lowe. Then it became Collins and McCandawary. And now with Najim and Portillo on either side, they feel really good about this back four. And then there's the guys who aren't playing. Max Lakawecki in Salt Lake last year was phenomenal. And then Magalhaes in RGV was fantastic in the past couple of years.
And you got some guys that were here last year in Tampa Bay and have gone other places. Justin Chavez goes home to OKC. First time in his career that he gets to play in front of the hometown crowd. First time in his career that he's played outside the state of Florida.
Chavez. Yeah?
Chavez.
Huh. OKC in action later on tonight at Fresno. Junior Flemings will come on. He picked up a knock to the head the opening 40 minutes last time out, that 2-0 win against Bethlehem Steel. Fernandez comes off. It's a substitution that's brought to you by Great Clips. Flemings played against both these teams in the playoffs last year with New York Red Bulls too, beating Tampa Bay in St. Pete before falling to Louisville City in Louisville in penalties in the Eastern Conference Final.
So we're 76 minutes into this game. Tampa Bay down by a goal. Stuart Campbell is now pulled out. The two gentlemen that are flanking Georgie.
But from the looks of it, Georgie's no longer your clear number 9. He's shifted positions a bit with Graf being a true striker as a ball over the top finds Mizell.
So it'll be interesting to see how Tampa Bay attempts to find the back of the net now with a relatively new front three with Graf, Flemings, and Georgie.
That's Graf, who's fighting with Smith.
Fans, it's time to vote for today's
Graf is going to earn a lot of fans for the Rowdies. He is a blue-collar guy.
Yeah, he's definitely a Ralph's Mob kind of guy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And he's definitely not a Cooper's kind of guy. You hate playing against a guy like him. And Ristov is of the same mold.
Georgie's been relatively quiet, but he's one of those players that you can't lose sight of where he is.
One moment, right?
That's all it takes, and he's done it 55 times.
Only.
Yes. 130 games, 55 goals. You know, one of those guys that when you look at the history of this Tampa Bay franchise, you talk about the Rodney Marshes. And
all knocked ahead here and cleared for only a moment. Graf chasing after it again. And that article we both spoke about from TampaBay.com included the list of names. He's one of them, isn't he?
No, he really is. And certainly when you talk about the modern day Tampa Bay Rowdies, he is the name that you have to put there.
Spencer is on the move. Rasmussen takes over. Rasmussen shooting, still alive and knocked well over the bar. There was advantage played, but to that advantage it spun itself out in the end. Jimenez was coming forward. Blake and Spencer, a little infighting. Now John Freeman is having discussion with the Rowdies players. Did he indeed bring this back?
Be interesting at the end of the day how this is called. Spencer was doing it all by himself. Other than that goal by Jimenez, it has been the Spencer. I was really about to date myself, because if we can get George Davis into the mix, we'd have the Spencer Davis group.
Oh, I don't get it. I don't understand. You are dating yourself. There he goes.
You see Neil Collins taking Luke Spencer down, and clearly the advantage was there, and Collins making no apologies about the way that he played it, and James O'Connor clearly not happy. You looking up Spencer Davis group right now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, did you come up with maybe Stevie Winwood?
No, I didn't. Okay. I wish I had. The British rock band created in 1963. I don't think I need to date myself to say I don't know.
Oh, man, folks.
Schaefer over the top, aimed for Collins, and out. How's this, by the way? Paco Craig?
The fact that you don't know Spencer Davis group as Illich comes in?
Illich on his way in. Spencer will come off. This is a substitution that's brought to you by Great Clips. It's going to be great. Let me just throw one more at you here. Paco Craig's dad was the bass guitarist in Culture Club. Is that a good dating mechanism? Where were you in all that?
That was the 80s.
Yeah. And there's the star in a constellation full of them for Tampa Bay. Joe Cole set to come on.
It'll be interesting as Cole comes on for Jack Blake. So Cole for Blake in the 80th minute. Illich for Spencer in the 80th minute. And this is what's going to be interesting for me, Mike. Spencer has been the focal point for Lou City. Illich comes in for him. Blake has been relatively quiet for Tampa Bay. Cole will come in for him. I think if I had to look at this in terms of advantages, I think I'm looking at, on this substitution, Cole being the bigger substitution of the two.
Joe Cole, by Stu Campbell's estimation, and I think a lot of people would agree with this, could still be on a club in the English Premier League today. The English legend is in the final year of his contract with the Rowdies.
Thank you to all of our hometown supporters for their support.
Yeah, Cole has been unbelievable throughout his Rowdies career since coming over across the pond.
By the way, the crowd here at Slugger Field today is exactly 8 more patrons as this ball lined ahead by Flemings and flies by than the Rowdies got at Al Lang Stadium week 1. That's how close those numbers are. How about that?
And this is a familiar picture we've seen throughout the evening is Ranjitsingh will kick this one away.
Our next level nutrition, game-changing moment was in the 69th minute.
Ranjitsingh drives it away.
Next level nutrition reminds
There's a foul there by Rasmussen. Let's take a look at tonight's Toyota move of the game. Let's go places.
Spencer on the wing, dribbling it in. Williams, Del Piccolo, Oscar back at the net. 1-0 in the 69th minute.
That move of the game brought to you by Toyota. Has Louisville ahead, a 0 over Tampa Bay in the final 10 minutes. Louisville go on the road to a Nippert Stadium north of the Ohio River to take on FC Cincinnati next. That's always a packed house for this kind of derby. Flemings up the right side. Flemings plays it down by Graff, away from Cole.
And Graff needs to be able to capture that ball and rein it in and not let it get through. Because as the clock ticks away, so are the chances for Tampa Bay, and they're down by a goal.
Flemings finding himself in the attack again. Craig takes it away. Playing a bigger role than maybe even his dad in Culture Club.
Flemings needs to rein that one in. You keep taking these chances into the final third, and you can't control the ball on the wings to get it centered. You keep that up, you're going to have a long flight home. Ranjitsingh looking for his second clean sheet in his many outings.
Had 11 last year in 25 starts. Picked up that injury in the first half of the first game of the season. Right before the halftime whistle, and Greg Dobrovolsky came in, played really well. It was a bit of a back and forth for a handful of months, and then the Trinidad and Tobago International ran away with the job down the stretch.
So, you know, in baseball, we'll get to this in a second.
Service is headed out by Tosh.
You know, in baseball, when the batter gets brought up to the plate, there's play on music, there's play music. If Paco Craig scores, do they play Do You Want to Hurt Me?
I don't. I think Lance McGarvey yells Lou City goal, and what happens next happens next. Is this away from wrist-off?
Or is that more if Craig gets a yellow card or a red card?
I think that's a better idea. Well, he was the star of the first game for Louisville. Now McCabe standing next to the fourth official waiting to come on. He may need to wait a moment longer. This should be a chance for McCabe to make his entrance. Off comes George Davis. It's a substitution that's brought to you by Great Clips. It's going to be great.
So that in the 86th minute. So now officially the Spencer Davis group is off the pitch.
That's right.
You got to check out their music.
I'm on it.
I'm telling you.
That's for the ride
I'm
home.
going to culture you.
That's it on the substitution side. Davis is off.
I'm going to culture you after all and have nothing to do with Culture Club. Just going to be.
It's going to be great.
Tampa Bay right now just running out of time. But remember earlier in the broadcast we were talking about what happens at the end of the games? So here's the test right now for Lou City. You're under 5 minutes to go. It's been a pretty clean second half. We didn't have any stoppage time in the first. So it really comes down to, can you keep your head about you? Can you keep your focus? And can you keep your 3 points?
What a ball here to Jimenez as he tries to do just that. Didn't win the throw to keep it for Louisville City. Louisville started 6 unbeaten last year, and they look in strong position to start 2 unbeaten in 2018. But they'd like to start it with 2 straight victories and a couple of shutouts as well.
And a victory over Tampa Bay at home
means a lot.
It really does. It sends that message to not only the East, but the rest of the USL. We're here to defend. And not defense like that. We're here to defend the star on our chests.
Here comes McCabe. Trailing back Collins. McCabe plays it across. Had Illich chasing after it. Gorski was in pursuit. Well, may have had that anyways. Meisel's got it.
McCabe just a little too unselfish.
Yeah.
Could have pulled up the brakes and actually slid the ball to his left rather than trying to lead Illich and let him just a little too far.
What a ball in here. Ranjitsingh, that's a bit of a communication error. Portillos and Graff
in pursuit. And you kind of get the feeling, the way that these two teams have been trading both sides of the pitch, that the next 2.5 minutes are going to be very active. Neither team is going to sit back. Obviously, Tampa Bay has to press forward, but I don't think that Lou City is going to be content on just sitting back and defending.
Flemings, he's come on and had a big impact on the right-hand side. Perhaps that's part of the reason why the left was so dominant last week in their win against Bethlehem. The early injury to Flemings. This will run all the way out as time continues to tick down. Under 100 seconds before stoppage.
And here is where Ranjitsingh is going to take advantage of a couple of things here with 1.5 minutes left in the original 90. One, he's going to take advantage of the length of the field and knocking this ball way down the pitch. The second thing is he's going to take as much time to send this ball down as he can without getting carded.
Tosh got up to knock that ball down. Spencer, rather Williams, I should say, Speedy came in there. Speedy keeping it still, lobbing ahead. McCabe gives way, takes over. Fleming's nearby.
And there's where Lou City makes a big mistake. All they need to do is play keep away.
And now the shot is deflected away. Ristoff looking for number 56. McMahon sliding in at the last moment.
Huge heads-up play by McMahon to save the possibly 2 points. All Lou City needs to do is play keep away in the middle of the pitch. They go long distance with the pass, turn it over. Here comes Tampa Bay, and if it's not for Pac McMahon, who got that yellow card in the 26th minute, this is a 1-1 game.
And Schaefer set the whole thing up with a dynamite through ball, and now he's setting up in the corner. There's a little area there between anywho.
What's 6'8", 12 inches among friends? So here we are. We're in added time here, even though I don't think there's any. Oh, we have 3 minutes of added time for your viewing pleasure.
Schaefer outswinger headed down and wide of the post. There was a foul as well. Stoppage time here is presented by Sullivan University. The referees adding 3 minutes here at the end of the match.
One, I'm surprised that there's 3 minutes because this was about as clean as the first half, with the exception of Rasmussen going down. Really, this has been a very, very clean half. But I go back to it. End of a match. Stamina, focus. Lou City has to keep their focus. And Tampa Bay just needs to continue to attack.
Graff won a corner, so they'll attack here on a set piece. 1 minute gone in stoppage time.
But this is a dangerous place to have a throw. Oh, I'm sorry, that you're going to have a corner, because time is on Tampa Bay's side right now, because they can play this ball in, and if they don't get the goal, control it in this final third.
Schaefer spinning, got over Gorski. He kept it in. And was Tosh whistled for a foul right near the touchline. Looks like another set-piece opportunity for Tampa Bay. Now, what's 6, 8, 10 yards between friends?
I mean, and that was a nice ball. It hung up a little too high, got a little bit past. But this is a nice place to play a ball. You've got the left foot that will throw this ball up. You can run up on this ball by Schaefer and drive it home.
Schaefer headed wide by Fleming's, hands on his face. He's frustrated, but that wasn't going to count anyways. Or was it there? The referee throwing his flag out.
That ball was put in a place where you can score a goal, and that's all you can ask of Tampa Bay in that position, is to put the ball up in the air and put it in a position where you can drive it home. And that's an unforced error right there.
Ranjitsingh coming out, supermaning into the ball. That's one way to try and atone. If you're wrong, that could go haywire in a hurry. Collins pressured by Illich. And now, final seconds, maybe one more chance for the Rowdies to get forward and salvage a point on the road. For Louisville, they're close to a 2-win start through 2 games. Fleming's cutting back. There's space here. Off Del Piccolo is their time for a throw. Del Piccolo arguing that time should be out. Najim will throw. Stepping forward, Gorski serving into the area. Headed out of play by Collins. That may well do it. And it is. Full time, Louisville City, a goal in the 69th minute from Oscar Jimenez, are off to a perfect start through 2 matches.
James O'Connor, got to be happy with the way that his club played tonight. Stuart Campbell, it's going to be a long ride home as Tampa Bay was unable to really take advantage of any opportunities to get one past Ranjitsingh. 1-0 for the home team.
A lot to be pleased with for either side. We have highlights and stats on the other side of this timeout. Louisville City supposed to start with a 3-match homestand. Last week canceled due to pitch conditions. They come back, a big couple of saves from Ranjitsingh, 2 shutouts in as many games, and a goal by Oscar Jimenez in the 69th. Right on cue. Back with more from Louisville after this. Final score, Lou City 1, Tampa Bay 0.
Waiting for spring?
Yes!
Be ready for all the season has to offer with a great deal on a new Toyota.
Get 0% financing for 60 months on any adventurous new 2018 RAV4. Or lease this well-equipped RAV4 LE for just $199 a month, now through April 2nd.
Ready, set, go get your Toyota today.
Toyota. Go places.
So you finally got those implants? How do they feel? Like it wasn't painful? Come on, you have to show us. You look so different. You look amazing. Wow, and they offer financing options? They accepted your insurance? Does Doug like them? I mean, I just can't get over it. They look fantastic. I never would have thought those are dental implants.
You might have the wrong idea about implants too. For the truth about dental implants, call 502-IMPLANT.
At Dr. Mark Leonard Associates, I focus on taking care of my family, but I also focus on taking care of your family. We firmly believe that you've got to give back. Our primary goal is to do what's right for the patient. If that means glasses, contacts, or treating an eye condition, we will be sure you get the care that you need. We want to take care of you the same way we take care of all our family.
This is our family. And here at Dr. Mark Linden Associates, we're focused on your family, the community, and most importantly, your vision.
Downtown Louisville, no surprise, the smoke just beginning to billow out from the Coopers and the Purple family. It finishes 1-0 Lou City over Tampa Bay Rowdies in the second match of the year in Lou City's title defense. Bruce Silverman's alongside Mike Watts. Here are the full-time highlights. Louisville, a couple really good chances through Luke Spencer in the first half. It really was the Spencer Davis group.
Well, it was certainly the Spencer of Spencer Davis early on. Early and often as Luke Spencer had plenty of chances until he was lifted in the 80th minute. Lou City wasn't able to break through. Another great opportunity by Spencer. He had to pull the trigger just a second too early as he felt Hunter Gorski on his back pocket, and Mizell comes up huge.
A wonderful ball ahead by Oscar Jimenez, a name we'll hear again along the way. We continue on in the first half of play. Rather Tampa Bay here trying to keep the ball out of Louisville's midst. And Spencer nearly threw again, Mizell putting his body on the line.
Yeah, if it isn't for Cody Mizell, this game gets ugly early and often. And he really came up huge throughout this match. It wasn't until the 69th minute, which we will get to shortly.
Guinzotti, and that off the face of Ranjitsingh. They don't say goalkeeping's always fun, do they?
That's going to leave a mark, and he'll take the black eye along with his second clean sheet of the 2018 campaign.
Remarkably got back to his feet. He makes 2 saves in total. I'm not sure that'll count as one, but he does scoop it off of harm's way.
Well, then he stops it permanently right there. But he certainly earned his clean sheet this evening.
Second ball across after Guinzotti nearly poked it through. So still 0-0 in the final minutes. This, the 69th minute. Ball back, knocked across by Williams. Del Piccolo, perfect ball. And Jimenez, where does he put it?
Back at the net. And, you know, Del Piccolo gets the assist, but the man of the match for me is Luke Spencer, who started the whole thing up from the right side. He had the vision to swing it into the middle. Del Piccolo over to Oscar, and Oscar takes care of business. 1-0 Lou City. They sit atop the East right now. And the only thing, we can look through all of it, you know, 52-48, I would say, yeah, that was about right. It looked about 50-50 to me. Not a lot of shots on target. The only stat that ever matters is the one up top, and that's the one where the defending champions find a goal in the 69th minute to get the win.
And looking forward, next week's schedule, how about the big derby on Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern. All the action in USL starts on Wednesday night, Tulsa and Portland too. But Cincinnati and Louisville, there's always some temper and some rage. We'll see who comes out on top there.
But in fairness, you're getting ahead of yourself a little bit because 7 o'clock tonight, FC Cincinnati on the road, Indy 11. Big crowd expected, between 15 and 20,000 for that debut. That's going to be a lot of fun. That will set the tone for that derby right there.
And Nashville had over 15,000 in their road to Nissan as well.
And
so
they got the win today, so congratulations for their first win in their first goal in the USL.
Team. That's right. Well, Tampa Bay comes up short on the road. Louisville City's home dominance continues. For Bruce Silverman alongside Ryan Rose, producer and director Mark Morida, Dean Nevins, and our entire team in Louisville. Mike Watts saying so long for now. Jimenez in the 69th minute. Lou City perfect through 2. The final score, Lou City 1, Tampa Bay 0. Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.